If you've ever looked at an ad that's been running forever and thought, how the hell is it still scaling? Then this video is for you. The reality is that eight-figure brands do not get just lucky overnight with their ads. They follow a curated system. They have a blueprint that the little guys don't know about. And that system has rules. So, in the next 15 minutes, you're going to walk away with 8 laws that explain why some ads scale and others do not last more than 2 days in your account. You will also learn how to build angles, write copy that converts, develop personas, and reverse engineer winner ads, yours and your competitors, so you're not guessing every single week and you're always prepared. Hello, if we haven't met, I am Mercedes. I'm a former CMO, growth marketer, and currently direct response copywriter with 10 years of experience in copywriting and 5 years experience in creative strategy. I've worked with DTC and e-commerce brands from launch to scale, from new products and new ventures, new companies, to scaling them. And my specialty is really building ads that don't look good and just don't stop the scroll, but also that move metrics. It's not just about having those vanity metrics that we all want. It is also about, is this thing actually working for my client? So if you want to learn about that, then you definitely want to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to leave me a comment and all that. That really, really helps. But now let's move on to these 8 laws that I've been telling you about. Law number 1, angle first ads kill it. Let's start with the biggest ones, although I have the best ones sprinkled over there, as well as some sneaky ones in the real back of the video. But I just want you to keep you hooked throughout my video, because really this is a video where you want to grab pen and paper, because it's really going to help you. So let's start with the big one. And I might be biased because I'm a copywriter, but in fact I am not biased, because even though I started as a copywriter, I realized that the ads that were working against those that were not working were defined by who the real creative strategy behind those ads is. Is it someone with roots in copywriting, or is it someone with roots in media buying? That will define a lot how your ads will either flop or they're gonna work. That is why angles always come first. And look, before everyone comes at me, I know angle can be a little tricky, because some companies name angles hooks and other companies name hooks angles. So many people have like their own, every marketer and every company has like their own lingo. And that is why it's important always that you let your team know what do you mean when you're talking about angles and what do you mean when you're talking about hooks, because otherwise you'll have them guessing. And a good marketer knows exactly what the true difference between those two is. But the angle is not a hook. That is a very big misunderstanding that I see many people do in marketing, unless they've been trained by a copywriter and they know copywriting. But an angle, the difference between an angle and a hook is, the hook is how you say it, but the angle is what you're saying. It's a different angle, a different way of seeing the problem, and that is what will translate into a hook. So the angle is what you're saying, the hook is how you say it. So if you skip an angle and just jump straight into, oh, let's make a UGC video, I have this idea for an ad, I just want to test this hook because I really believe in this hook, that's all fine, but you should be removed one step more and really look at it from a wider lens, so you can get a better understanding and a better hypothesis of why are you doing the things that you're actually doing. Why are you testing this when you don't have a hypothesis, you don't have an angle, you don't have a persona, you don't have anything to back that up? Because trust me, your clients and your business depends on it, and you just don't want to be wasting money around. If you're doing that already, you're basically building a house by picking the curtains first. Like, That wouldn't make sense, right? This is a simple definition so you can get an example, an understanding of this. An angle is one clear reason to care and one real reason to believe. An example would be, let's say that you're selling anything in wellness, right? A bad ad would be something like, this changed my life. I have more energy, better mood, better sleep, better skin. That is not an angle. That's just a hook. And well, that's not a hook. That's just a piece of shit copy that I just came up with. But a good ad angle would be energy without the afternoon crush. From there, you can build 20 different ads just off of that angle. Another example, let's say that you have a persona that is a menopause woman and her main problem is weight loss. So the persona could be a perimenopausal woman, or could be someone with Hashimoto's disease. It could be anyone that you want to target. Your persona could be a 30-year-old with PCOS who doesn't know she has PCOS and she really needs to fix her weight issues. So she would be problem aware but not solution aware, and she's definitely not aware about your product. But then an angle from that for that person could be derived from the problem, which is weight loss. The angle is, for example, the angle could be something like 5 reasons you're not losing weight even though you tried this and this, right? And then from there, you can get a ton of hooks. Another angle that is more high level could be, okay, so she has this problem, right? This persona has this big problem. The angle could be, you're not losing weight because of your diet. It's because you have undiagnosed PCOS. You see how that goes? And here's the secret. 8-figure brands do not scale creatives, they scale angles. Which takes me to law number 2, copy first. Look, I am not biased. When people say king, content is king, blah, 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 what they really mean is copy is king, right? Words should always come first. Words first, then style. Words first, then just creative ideas. Words first, then visual concepts. And why is that? Because the message is what matters the most, because the thing that sells is the message. And yes, the message can also be a visual, a very, very visual message, but still needs to be a message. And look, sorry, but people hate this one because it forces you to think. But the brands are actually printing money right now. They do understand that copy is the strategy. Visuals are the amplifier, especially right now after the Andromeda update, where creative strategists have become more important than ever. And it's way more important than targeting and segmenting and things like that that are dead from media buying. At this time, the best team is one that you have a very, very talented media buyer who's also a creative strategist and a creative strategist with roots in direct response copywriting. That is where you create magic. When those two powers align, combine, they have meetings, they talk to each other. That is when you find how to scale your own winning ads, the ones that are getting spent, what to kill, what to iterate. That is where the magic really happens. But very few brands are actually doing that right now. And I understand if you have a very small business, it's going to be hard because you're not going to have the money to pay 2 strategists. But this is what you need to know, what is the most important, so you can bring all of that into your company. So coming back to the principle, copy is the strategy, visuals are the amplifier. So before you film, before you go and do your content, your ads and everything, you must pick the promise, the mechanism, aka how it works, the messaging, the proof, the objection handling, and a CTA. You need all of that in one ad. And a very talented creative strategist will know how to do that in very few words, because the more you say, the worse sometimes it is. And then also how to say it in a way that you make people think that They just made the decision to buy, and they were not just convinced by your ad. That's where copywriting comes in handy. But it's not just copywriting, it's also understanding visual cues, nonverbal language, and other things as well, like the way that your ads layout is, the colors. All of those things require a lot of understanding in human psychology, and especially when it comes to consumer psychology and consumer behavior. Law number 3, the persona law. Write to one brain only, then replicate and reach out to more people. Now, here's where most marketers mess up, and companies as well do the same thing. With Andromeda, with the new Andromeda update, and of course, I'm not going to make a video about Andromeda right now. The problem with most ads and accounts that are tanking is that there is this new thing called ad fatigue. But this new thing called ad fatigue is no more than just people being fatigued by seeing so much content from so many brands, so many creators, that they're just fed up. So imagine this, you're scrolling and you're seeing the same type of ads over and over and over again. And what are these actual companies doing as well is they're also copying each other. Like, I remember one time I launched an ad that went really well, and then our top competitors, which is like top in the industry, copied my angles, my idea, my script. Guess what's going to happen with people when they see that over and over and over again? People get tired of seeing the same message. They no longer believe you, or they've seen that over and over again. When they see something new, when you have a new mechanism, something that really sparks and really talks to one person, then they're like, oh my God, I feel like they're talking to me. That's when it really hits. That's why you need to develop personas. If you're selling, for example, supplements to women, if you're talking only to your 40-year-olds and you're talking only to moms, then how would you expect to win all of the how do you expect to scale? That is good to sell. You can sell a lot of money when you're targeting only one persona, if that's the thing that you want to do. But if you want to scale, you can talk to so many other people. You can talk to moms, you can talk to fitness junkies, you can talk to C-levels, you can talk to women who are rediscovering themselves, who are going at life again. You can talk to younger women, you can talk to older women, you can talk to so many different personas, and they have so many different problems. When you talk about one persona, then you're talking about different problems. So for one persona with, I don't know, like hormonal issues, the problem could be weight gain. For another one, it could be your low libido. It could be that you're not sleeping well. It could be that you're snapping. So there's so many things. Feeling invisible. There are so many things that you can use to really talk to the pain of that person. So when they see your ad, they're like, oh my gosh, yes, they're talking about me. This is a sign. I need to buy this shit. And they're gonna do it as long as you're talking to them. If you want to write to those personas, the things that you need to think to yourself is, what do they believe in? What are they afraid of? What have they tried already that didn't work? What do they secretly want? And how they explain the problem in their own words. That's when you need to go into your Reddit, your social medias and everything, and go and see how they're writing. Because remember, copy is king. And copy does not mean that you need to write a punchy line that really hits and people love it. No, you need to be a chameleon. A good copywriter is a social chameleon who can write like a woman, like a man, like a toddler. Well, not like a toddler. Well, sometimes you do need to write like a toddler, but let's not get into that. Really, you need to be a really good copywriter. I believe you need to be a chameleon who can write like anyone, and it's like you read that and it's like someone who's really going through that actually wrote it. They're like going through that and you go like, oh my God, she's describing me. Or he's describing me, and hey, I'm not a dude like you think I am. I'm just a girl writing copy for you, but I can get in your brain and I can write. And I know what you want to hear, and I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. So that is really the secret sauce, I believe, when it comes to copywriting. Which takes me to law 4. It's not just copy. It's not just ideas and writing like they do and speaking like they do, because otherwise anyone could make it work. You also need to have a creative brain. you need to have a strategy. And that brings me to the law 4, which is the hypothesis law. The best marketers and the top players in marketing, as well as the biggest agencies, are using hypotheses. You're not just launching your ads without knowing why you're doing that. Like, how do you know you're launching top of funnel ads versus bottom of funnel ads? You need to know exactly when and where. What is the stage of awareness that you want to hit? Do you want to hit a problem aware persona? Do you want to go for a solution aware persona? Where in the funnel do you want to hit them, and why? What is the offer that you're running, and what is your CPA? What is the frequency that your ads are being shown? That is going to tell you, okay, we need more top of funnel ads. We need more bottom of funnel ads. We need more middle of funnel ads, depending on where it's happening. So, for example, if you have an ad that is being shown too many times, so your frequency is high, and let's say that your CTR is high, then that means that that ad is working and you probably don't want to tweak it as much. But if your CPA is through the roof, then you do want to tweak that, because you know that that ad is working, but it's not giving you profit. So it's converting and it's not having a good ROAS. But it doesn't mean that you cannot go and help it out by just tweaking a few things. Could be the copy, could be the visuals. That is when you really go and check what is going on. Could be the landing page, could be your body copy, could be so many things. That's why you need to have a set of eyes who know how to read the data and then how to interpret that data and then put it into practice, into creative strategy, and translate that, all of that, into a new ad variation. Could be very tiny variation, could be a big one, could be just a hook, it could be the structure of a video, could be adding a CTA. It could be very, very easy, or it could be something more complex, or it could take you a few more takes and a few more tests until you decide to either kill or not the idea, depending on how that is working. And that's why you need to know exactly when to kill or not to kill an idea, depending on the budget that you have and how much you're willing to spend to increase your AOV. So a good hypothesis should include, what are you changing? What metrics should move? Why it should move? What success looks like? And then you need to know, we need this funnel ad. So top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. We need this awareness level in the funnel. So problem aware, unaware, solution aware, most aware. And then we need this persona to hit this problem, this pain point, and we need to test this angle. And why do I think it works? Why do I want to have this? Because the frequency, and you know, when you're talking about the top of funnel, is because you either have a new offer. It could also be because of your frequency. It depends on so many metrics. That's why you cannot just go in and create a strategy. You also need to talk to your media buyer. If you're a creative strategist and you don't have roots in media buyer, you should be talking to the media buyer at least twice a week. And if you're the business owner and you don't have a creative strategist who know how to really interpret that data, then you should be able to help them translate that by creating that meeting between them too, so they can have that back and forth, or have someone at least give you some, or you could hire a consultant to teach your team and to train them and to help you see how that works. And actually, if you want to do that, you can do that by clicking here. I'm going to leave a link below if you want me to do that. But let's move on to the next rule, law number 5. Learn and know when to reverse engineer and what to reverse engineer. Let's start with your winners. Okay, you need to autopsy the ad. Like, I want you to play like you're a detective and you're trying to find, why did that ad perform for your brand? I'm not talking about, oh, the winner for another brand, your brand. And if you don't have a winner yet, then pick your top spender. If you want your ads to land like an 8-figure or 9-figure brand would actually do it, then I suggest you start doing this. Weekly winner postmortems. What do I mean by that? You sit down with the media buyer, the creative strategists, and then you ask, what is the actual angle? What hook type it is? What proof type it is? What objection did it answer? What is the CTA phrasing? What audience did it win? And what are the numbers? You'll need to know the spend, the CTR, the CPC, the CPA, the hook rate or the thumb stop, depending if it's a video or not, and then the whole rate, depending if it's a video, and the conversion rate. At least those things, and then of course CPA. If you have those metrics, then your creative strategists will be able to make informed decisions as long as they can read the data and understand it and translate that into creative strategy. The reason why that works, it's because your account already contains that blueprint that we were talking about in the beginning of the video. So if you have one winning ad, that you can create 5 more winning ads or top spenders by only changing one element, one variable at a time. And the reason why you do that is because you want to use the strategic method where you just change one variable at a time. One hook, one word, one persona, one color, a color is not really good, although sometimes it can be. But the photo, the hook, the elements that you're using, the music, the sound effects, it could be anything. That's why you really need to see the data and you need to see what the video has, because that will depend a lot on what you're changing, what you're tweaking, what you're killing, what you're trimming. That will depend a lot, especially if you have to reshoot something or recreate an image ad. And that is how you reverse engineer your own ads, which takes me to law number 6. Reverse engineer your competitors' ads, but do it with brains. I hope that you've read the book Still Like an Artist, and if you haven't done that, I highly suggest that you do. That's a really good book to really know how to do it and master this. But you don't want to copy everything. You don't want to copy the hooks. You don't want to copy the whole structure of the video. You do want to steal a few elements. Of course, there's not an exact blueprint because that will depend a lot on your company. But sometimes you do want to test one of their hooks. You do want to test a visual hook. You do want to test a structure. You do want to test something that you know it's worked. And for that, of course, it's not a very easy thing. It's not like I can go and tell you, oh, just go to Foreplay or go to Atria, whatever you use, and then choose the longest running ads. Because that doesn't mean that it's going to work, because they might have turned that off a long time ago. You want to see what ads are active and have been active for at least 30 days. When you go and see what's worked over always and the longest running ads, that could not work any longer. And you don't know. You could try. And there is a way that you can do that to use like the top performer ads, but you need to do it in a very strategic way. That's why I keep telling you that you need a pair of eyes who can read the data and really understand why is that working or no longer working. And you need to have inside information. And sometimes, of course, you're not going to have inside information. You're just going to go with what these tools are telling you. But the thing is, they are not always exactly the same. I've seen ads that have been turned off for a long time and they appeared as active. So it's not that you can just pretend that that's the thing and, oh, okay, this worked for them, might work for me, because you may copy the exact same thing and it's just gonna flop. Another good thing that you need to be looking at is not just your direct competitors, also your indirect competitors and even non-competitors, because sometimes you may find a hidden gem for an ad creative idea on a very different industry than the one that you have. So never stay close to testing new things and getting insights from other campaigns, other people, other brands, other creatives. The big difference here is that direct competitors show you what is validated in your market, while indirect competitors show you what's working in adjacent markets that you can then adapt, especially if you want to reach out to a new audience. And here's what you need to look for as patterns in just overall. Repeated hooks across multiple ads, repeated proof patterns, repeated objections, repeated offers, repeated story arcs, and repeated formats. If a competitor is running an ad for months, then that is telling you something. It might be that the angle is strong, it might be that the structure is working, it might be that the audience is responding to the creator. It could even be the creator. That is why you need to see all the ads and understand. And I keep saying that, but your pixel works as an environment. One ad alone is not doing the heavy lifting. Sometimes it does, but the idea is for you to have a few ads that are working as an ecosystem and bringing different people from different lives, different paths of life, different angles, different things. So you are capitalizing on the whole market. And of course, this also helps with ad fatigue because you're not copying the ad, you're just making it better. So instead of just building an ad, just a creative, you are creating a system, a creative system, which takes me to law 7, the fatigue log. That is why exactly you need a creative system that we were just talking about. Because the thing is that ads don't die, but audiences do saturate. So you may have this ad that has been working for a set amount of times, months, even years for some companies, and then eventually it flops. And that's because it reached out to all of the audience that it could have reached out to. So the thing is that most people scream creative fatigue when performance drops. But sometimes that creative fatigue is just fatigue. It could also be an offer weakness. It could be your landing page. There could be a mismatch in your landing page. There could be lack of congruence in the messaging. It could be backtracking. It could be a seasonal shift. It could be audience saturation. It could be so many things. But here's is the real insight. A winner can be kept alive by refreshing the wrapper and keeping the angle. And what do I mean by this? So you could try a new hook, but keep the same angle. You could try a new proof, but the same script. You could use a new opening scene. You could try a new creator. You can add a new objection line or move the objections up. Here are some ideas. You can say something like, swap something like, here's my story, to here's the myth, or here are the 3 signs why X, Z, blah, blah, blah. You could also swap a UGC proof for a demo proof or an authority one. You could start with a question instead of a confession or a statement. You could lead with curiosity only. That is how 8-figure and 9-figure brands are keeping their winners, printing money. And talking about money, let's go to law number 8, which I love because I love CRO. And that is the message match law. Your ad is a promise, but the landing page or your PDP must pay it off. Now, this one is a silent killer, and it pains me to see how many businesses are having those killer ads, and then you go to the landing page or the PDP and you're like, what do I do now? Or the landing page or the PDP do not create the report or the trust that it should. And then even though the ad was really, really good and it did all that it had to do to take you to click there, then eventually they go there and it flops because the landing page is just, it sucks. And this one is a silent killer because your ad says like, stop walking at like 3 a.m. but then your landing page says premium wellness formula for daily balance. This could be fixed from the ad or from the landing page, or you could have different versions for the landing page. That's when you come up with personas. You should also come with, and I'm going to make a whole video about how you can do that in an easy way, but if you have a different persona that you're going to test, you need to make sure the landing page is addressing that persona, because that persona then is going to go there and they're like, oh, this is interesting, but I don't see how I fit into this and how I can use this product or this service. But because I want to keep this video very practical, here are some quick fixes that you can apply right now. Your landing page headline should echo the ad promise almost always. Or at least you can have like a very genetic landing page headline, and that's again why you need a very experienced copywriter. Second, the first proof block should match the ad proof. Third, the ad is mechanism led, meaning that the page needs a mechanism to clarify that immediately. And if you don't know how to create a mechanism, write down the word mechanism and I'll create a video about that. Third, the ad is plain led. The page needs a direct, "you're not crazy" section. Because if you don't empathize with people and you don't say like, "hey, we've been there, that's why we created this product," then guess what? They're just probably gonna scroll past it or just gonna close the landing page and not do anything. This is why brands with the same CPM and CTR can have a wildly different CPA, because the conversion happens after the click. Those are my 8 laws behind every ad that scales to 8 figures that I've observed myself with my 8 and 9 figure brands that I've worked with, the clients that I've worked with. And this is just my list of ideas, what I've seen worked over and over and over again, and what are they doing right now, what they're also paying thousands and thousands of dollars to marketing experts to spill the tea here in this channel. That's why you want to subscribe, is because I'm gonna spill all the tea. So subscribe to my channel, ask me any questions if you have that, and if not, then tell me, have you tried any of these? How did that really help you with your business? Did you see any changes? And finally, if you want more videos like this, then subscribe, because I share weekly creative strategy videos so you can make the most out of it. And I'm not just giving you wishy-washy blah 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 motivational bullshit. I'm giving you actionable steps that actually work for my clients. So keep an eye out and let me know if this helped you, and don't forget to subscribe. See you later. Bye. Oh, and by the way, remember what I told you about having the copywriter and all that? If you do want to book a consult, I am now officially opening my consult page. So if you want to go grab it, then you can click below and you can have me join your team for a while and then give you some advice on what I would do if I were your creative strategist. Or you can talk to me if you want to work with me one-on-one. Okay, see you later. Bye.